Hello and welcome to Bible Study with Alice, and today we're on day 88, Psalm 88 of our daily psalm reading. We're reading from the ESV translation, but you're more than welcome to join us from a different translation. As you can see, we are on Psalm 88. These videos are filmed in real time. Today's date's the 30th of January 25 and it's a Thursday. You can find the previous 87 psalms in the playlist below. There is a disclaimer as usual, and that is one that these videos are unedited and also I'll probably stumble my wording. Let's get started. I cry out day and night before you, a psalm of the sons of Korah, to the choir master according to Malith Lenuth, a maskil of Heman the Ezrahite. I do apologise if I mispronounce any of these words. Let's get into verse 1. O Lord God of my salvation, I cry out at night before you. Let my prayer come before you. Incline your ear to my cry. For my soul is full of troubles, and my life drawn near to Sheol. I am counted among those who go down to the pit. I am a man who has no strength, like one set loose among the dead, like the slain that lie in the grave, like those whom you remember no more. For they are cut off from your hand. You have put me in the depth of the pit, in the rain of dark and deep. Your wrath lies heavy upon me, and you overwhelm me with all your ways, Selah. You have caused my companions to shun me. You have made me a horror to them. I am shut in so that I cannot escape. My eyes grow dim through sorrow. Every day I call upon you, O Lord. I spread out my hands to you. Do you work wonders for the dead? Do the departed rise up and praise you? Salam. Is your steadfast love declared in the grave of your faithfulness in Abaddon? Are your wonders known in the darkness, or the righteousness in the land of your forgetfulness? But I, O Lord, cry to you in the morning. My prayer comes before you. O Lord, why do you cry? Why do you cast? Oh my gosh, Alice. 14. This is going to be a long one. O Lord, why do you cast my soul away? Why do you hide your face from me? Afflicted and close to death from my youth up, I suffer your terrors. I am helpless. Your wrath has swept over me. Your dreadful assault destroyed me. They surrendered me like a flood all day long. They close in one on me. Oh my gosh. 17. They surrendered me like a flood all day long. They close in on me together. You have caused my beloved and my friends to shun me. My companions have become darkness. So that is Psalm 88 complete. I do apologise that there was going to be a few mispronunciations on some of the names that were mentioned. Tomorrow we'll be doing Psalm 89, and that's the first half of the video complete. For those who are new, I will explain what the psalm is all about, the time period that the psalm is written in. For those who are new, who are returning, will know that I do a bit in the between the reading and explaining about the psalm, and I like to explain briefly. I try to do it as briefly as I can. What the about the time periods, because it can be seen in three parts, where two of them link together and the one doesn't. So the one that don't is, so the book of Psalms are written over a very big amount of time, easily over 1,000 year period, and historians and scholars don't, on some of the Psalms, they know the time period it was written in, and which is obviously that's then quite helpful, having a time period linked to a psalm, because then you can understand the time period that that psalm was written in, and you can obviously then research that bit more to be able to get a better understanding of that time period, which is really, really helpful. As I will say, I do quite like it when there is a time period linked to it. And then you've got the other part where the psalms are unknown, and that's due to the fact that historians and scholars don't know when those psalms were written. They are usually written in a poetic way, so the language then becomes more difficult to understand when it was written. Some of the psalms, more often than not, which is obviously unknown, will have an event linked to it. So it could be during King David's reign, for example. King Solomon's reign could be during the pre-exilic exile of Babylonians and war going on in Israel. You can name it. There's an event, and that then helps the historians and scholars to kind of have a better understanding of that psalm. But because they don't know exactly when, because there's been a lot of that going on, that they've struggled to figure out if that psalm is linked to a particular time period. Then you have the other part where the psalms are then classed as unknown, obviously, as I mentioned, but there's no event linked to it, so it's completely unknown in the context of it all. They don't know when that psalm is written, they don't know any information on the event that linked to it, so they don't actually know any more than that psalm was written. Just don't know anything about it, just, as I said, just that the psalm was written. But with Psalm 88, so we've already established, and I will move that over a second so I can point out, that Heman the Ezrahite is the person that would have been the likely author, and it would have been likely during King David or King Solomon's reign, which was around about 10th century and 10th century BC. And for context purposes, 10th century was 1000 BC to 901 BC. I did that just so you kind of got an understanding of, when I say century, it's over 100-year period. So this psalm was likely written over a 100-year period, but they don't know exactly if it was during King David's reign or King Solomon's reign. They just know that it was one of the two. It's a lament and expresses that the psalmist's deepest fear, despair and hopelessness as a cry out to God. Is considered to be the darkest psalm in the Bible. Now that does sound quite good. Well, I say quite good. Depends if you like dark stuff. I have to admit, when I was reading it, I definitely did get the feeling that it was definitely going to be a darker psalm. And obviously, so you're all aware, I prepare these the night before, and I will obviously write out the information, put it into a way that is easy to understand. I won't say I have a script to go by, but I kind of make sure that I know the type of information that I want to include. So I do prepare these the night before, and when I was doing it last night, I was definitely on the inclination that it's going to be a dark psalm without it even being said that it's a dark psalm. And we will talk about lament, and we will also talk about Salal, because that gets mentioned a lot. So Salal gets mentioned in verse 7 at the end of verse 10. So they get mentioned twice, end of verse 10 and end of verse 7. So Salal, as we can see, is a psalm of the sons of Korah, to the choir master according to Malach, Leannoth, Maskell of Heman the Ezraite. So we gathered it's a song. So in context purposes, these would not be the usual reflection, which Salam would be. So there's 3 points for Salam for what it means. So it means either a rest, pause, or reflection. Now normally when I say reflection, it always comes after the verse that it comes at the end of, and it's usually reflecting on what was just said. But as it's a song and it's mentioned at the start of it, a song as sons of Korah, it's going to be in context of a rest or a pause. So the psalmist is obviously going to be taking a rest at the end of 7 and end of 10, or taking a pause because they are able to take a pause at the end of 7 and 10. So that is what Salam means, and it does I do mention it at the top. Salam, rest, pause, or reflection. But we're going to go into lament. So a lament is a type of prayer song that is a song. Start again, Alice. A lament is a type of prayer song that is a cry for God to act in the midst of pain and grief. So obviously, as he had been talking about, he is deepest despair and fear and hopelessness, and he wants to cry out to God. That would be the lament, and these are the meant to add in 88. Oh gosh, this is good because we've got 89 and then we're going to have 88. So I'll put 88 there. When I write these out, I didn't write them out properly, did I? I always haven't seen adding them in. But 88 and obviously next Psalm 89 we will discuss as a lament. But yeah, so those are the with the inclusion, with the adding in of extra numbers. So yeah, those are the Psalms, and there's obviously going to be probably more that I'm going to add in. Seems to be something I've added in like 4 extra ones in. So obviously all of them are individual laments. It's a personal feeling. They're the most common type of psalm. They often begin with an invocation to God, followed by the lament and request for help, ends with an expression of trust in God. So basically what happens here is the psalmist will invite God in, then it's followed by the pain, the grief, the hopelessness, the fear, whichever the lament will be, and then request for help from God. So we'll ask God to help with the problem, and then end up with an expression of trust in God, because you want to trust God to help. That's usually what happens when you're doing a prayer. Now we can put this into our own day-to-day life, really, when you think about it. We can all do a lament. So how we would do a lament is obviously whenever we decide to pray to God, we would obviously invite God in. We will then tell him the problem, the pain, the grief, the hopelessness, the fear, whatever it is that you want to share with God. And then you follow that with a request for help. So you obviously want God to help you with what you just shared with him. And then you end up with an expression of trust that God will then fulfill his promise that he will help you to find comfort. Sometimes he will answer your prayer completely and that problem will be resolved. Not always, but it's usually we usually want it for more for comfort purposes than we actually do for having it resolved, because we do generally know that not always happens when something will be completely restored. We can hope, and that, like I said, there have been times when we have done a prayer to God and that prayer's completely been answered, been completely restored, and everything's been perfect again. So there are a lot of, if you hear a noise, that's my my dot. I don't want to say my dot's name because it will start her up. But yeah, if you hear ping, that was my dot. I call her Dot so she doesn't get alerted to be activated, because nothing's worse than having that happening over a video. But anyway, we obviously would express that trust that God will help, because that's what we want. That's what we want at the end of the day when we're doing our prayers. That is generally what we want. We want them to answer. We want to feel happy and content. But there are times when they don't, but we just need to feel comforted. So that is obviously what Lament's all about. Now I've got to go back to 88. So, as I said, that's 88 complete. Tomorrow we will be doing 89. I did mention in yesterday's video that the green outline and the number 10 is due to the fact that when I did my Advent series, 89 was one of the psalms that I used, but I didn't want to colour it in the red because I coloured it in green, because then I knew I hadn't got up to 89, so that's why I did a green outline. That's the purpose of that. But I will now write in the day and the date. So it's the 30th of January today, so it's day 88. The 30th. We are so close to a new month. And I'm left-handed, so it's always a bit of a struggle. But we're into a new month on Saturday, which will be day 90. So yeah, we're getting close to a new month. So that is Psalm 88 complete. Thank you for watching. Please like my content. Please subscribe to my channel, and please turn on the notification bell so you get notified of when content like this gets uploaded to the channel. Thank you and goodbye.